I bow to all the seekers of truth. At the very outset, we have to know that the truth cannot be manipulated, cannot be created, cannot be conceptualized by your mind or by your imagination. It is what it is, and has been and will be. So the truth is very simple. Very simple thing it is. But you have to have a very scientific outlook. To keep your minds open. Because this is the knowledge of the roots. What you see outside and what you know about it is the knowledge of the tree. And should accept whatever I am saying as a hypothesis, and if it is proved, then as honest people you have to accept it. The truth is very simple, that all this universe, this cosmos, is looked after, is nourished, is guided by all-pervading divine power, which in Sanskrit language you can call it as Paramachaitanya, and in Quran it's called as Rooh. In every great scriptures it is described as a formless energy that looks after, guides everything that is living, works out every balancing of this universe, of this earth. Only at the level of human awareness, we have freedom to choose, because we have to rise to a higher awareness of complete freedom. That is why we commit mistakes. Doesn't matter. After all, we are human beings, we are not gods. So if we commit mistakes, it makes no difference whatsoever for your ascent to that higher level. And the higher level is the second truth, that you are not this body, not this mind, not your ego, nor your conditionings, but you are pure spirit. That is what you have to be. This can only work out through the living process of evolutionary ascent. You have become a human being, and now you have to become a higher human being. As a higher human being, you develop a new kind of awareness on your central nervous system. Whatever we have achieved in our evolution, we feel it on our nervous system. Like if you take a dog or a horse through a place which is very filthy, dirty, smelling, it can pass through. But human beings cannot. Human beings have the sense of color, of beauty, of so many things. They have achieved through their evolutionary process. But still, the ascent is necessary because we do not know the absolute truth. Whatever we know is partially based on our experiences and our mistakes. But sometimes we are so self-opinionated that we don't want to say that we have done mistakes, or not do we want to see that we have to seek higher. But there are a category of people, so many of them, which William Blake has beautifully described as men seeking God. It's very simple. The people who are seeking the truth. And these are a special category who become sages. And these sages, he says, will have power to make others the sages. C.S. Lewis has described, all over the world people have described about these great things going to happen in these modern times. Especially in India, there was the pioneer, or say the one who really the originator of astrology. Bhrugumuni has written a book called Nadi Granth, in which he has described Sahajayoga very clearly. And he has said that such a time will come when people will get their realization. Sahaj. Saha means with, Ja means born. Born with you is the right to be united, yoga, with the divine. The modern yoga that we have got is a wee bit of a wee bit. It has nothing to do with reality. To know the reality, to feel the all-pervading power is the right of every human being. That's all is called yoga. And the another word, another meaning of yoga is yukti, meaning the deftness. The deftness to know how to work out this power, and also to know the principles of divine laws. But that is not mentally. It's not mentally. It is on your nervous system. In the Buddhist psychology, in the Buddhist philosophies, is described as bodha. Bodh doesn't mean that you feel it as a kind of a thinkable stuff, but you feel it on your central nervous system. It's not some sort of sensationalization, but it is actualization. That is bodha. Even the word Vedas come from the word Vida. Vida also means on the central nervous system. The reality is to be felt on our central nervous system. Now we have here with us this mechanism built in. In the Bible, it's known as the tree of life. Krishna has also described it as a tree of life which is upside down, the roots of which are in the head. This is the tree of life described in most of the scriptures in different names. Like in Tao, he refers to Yangtze River as Tao, and that Tao is nothing but this Kundalini, which is the power which enlightens this tree of life. This Kundalini is a power which resides in the triangular bone, known as sacrum. Sacrum in Latin language means sacred. That means the Greeks knew in ancient times that this is a sacred bone which has something sacred in it. We all have this residual power within us known as Kundalini. Of course, in the modern times, people have created all kinds of myths about the Kundalini, saying it is very dangerous, one should not do this and all that. It's all modern. But in the ancient books, even up to the time of Kabira, they have all described it very clearly. Nobody has said it is dangerous. So maybe that some of the fake ones wanted to create a fear because they didn't want people to know the reality. They must have created this kind of a myth saying that it is dangerous to awaken the Kundalini. But this is the mother, your individual mother, who is going to give you your self-realization. As your mother has taken all the troubles, labor problems upon herself, she takes up all the problems that you have, and you get a very smooth landings as self-realized souls. This has to happen because it is so vital. It is so vital that it has to be easy. For example, for our breathing, if we had to go to the library and read books and do all kinds of things, we would not have existed. In the same way, it is such a vital thing that this Kundalini has to rise. Of course, in the beginning of life, this tree of life had very few flowers. But gradually, now I feel it's a blossom time. There are so many seekers who are seeking the truth, and it is working wonders. In one day lecture, in a program like this, it's very hard to explain everything about Kundalini. As it is, I must have spoken thousands of times, and there must be at least 4,000 tapes in English language alone. I've been working for 20 years to establish Sahajayoga all over the world. And now there are 40 nations who have come to Sahajayoga. And I must pay full respect to Russians, whom I found to be the best people for spirituality. The best people for spirituality. Whatever they might have been under, whatever might have happened to them, one thing, they didn't waste their time much. They were all very well educated, very solid, sensible, wise people. And the way they took to Sahajayoga, I was myself surprised. We just arrived there and they were all in thousands. And how did they manage to get their realization so fast and to establish it is really, even the Indians should feel ashamed of themselves. Because this is the heritage of India. This is the heritage of India. But we had 300 years the Britishers ruling us perhaps, so we all have become very westernized perhaps. But I just don't understand that how these people who have never talked of God, religion, thank God for that also sometimes, because religion is also nowadays man-made, has conditioned people too much. And they had no such fake gurus there roaming about. And they just jumped into it. It's such a remarkable thing to see a country so far away, kept away from all the theologies, jumping into spirituality so fast. Even, of course, in India we have lots of people who are Sahajogis all over, I must admit, because after all this is their heritage. And also in India, we should say there are 3 doctors who have done MD in Sahajayoga. They have tried to prove that with Sahajayoga, means the Kundalini awakening, you can get rid of psychosomatic diseases, you get better health. Also, you can get epilepsy and all such mental diseases cured. They have got MD for that. There are 7 doctors in London who are trying to collect all the data about it, and they also want to do their MDs. Also, there's in Cambridge University, there's a gentleman who is already a professor of philosophy, is doing a research on Sahajayoga. So, it is coming to the level of the intellectuals and the scientists. But scientists have to go a little deeper if they have to see any structure in a microscope. In the same way, if we have to know about these things, we have to have our self-realization. Without our self-realization, we cannot understand anyone. That's what Kabira said, what should I do? The whole world is blind. What should I tell them? The whole world is deaf. Meaning is that the level of their understanding has not reached that subtle side. And that subtle side has to be tapped. And that is very simple. Nowadays, I have seen that people get realization without any difficulties. In Sydney, in Perth, in Brisbane, of all the place, Cairns. I was so surprised. Another surprise came from Cairns, which was something just like Russia. Something out of the blue, it exploded. Such beautiful people live there, so human, so natural. I couldn't understand how in certain places people are so simple, not complicated, not conditioned, and not arrogant. They have such a simplicity of understanding, and they just take to it so easily. Now, of course, in Australia also we have lots of Sahajogis who are working it out, but in the early times we didn't have very good leaders who were, I should say, very well motivated towards Sahajayoga, and so it was going up and down, but now I hope it will be again re-established here. But one thing, we should be very honest with ourselves, that if we have to have our benevolence, we have to honest ourselves. If you are enamored by somebody who claims too much, talks too much, and gives you big lectures, and just says, all right, take this mantra, or do this and do that, all kinds of nonsensical things, you first must go and see the person who has been to him. What is he doing? What has he got? Has he got any spiritual powers or not? Or just because he is going to that place, you must also go. Another problem in the West, I find, I must say, is very funny, is that they think that if something is free, then it is nonsensical. It's very, very surprising. I went to Boston and they asked me, how many Rolls Royces you have? So the people told, she doesn't take any money, how can she have Rolls Royces? So we are not interested, it's no business. I mean, God is not a business, and divinity is not a business. This we must understand, that you can't pay for it. How much do we pay to the Mother Earth when she produces all these beautiful things for us? In the same way, how much are we going to pay for our spirituality? Leave alone anything. How much do you pay to Christ? On the contrary, you sold him out. So this is simple thing, which of course Indians understand better, but others also should understand that you can't pay for it. Anybody who asks money for this, you must know, is something very serious with it. If I want you to take some money from you, you won't, because you are self-respecting. The ones who takes money from you has no self-respect. You have retained him, sort of, you are retainers, something like that. And one must understand, this is a very important point for all Western people to understand, that you can't pay for it. But sometimes I think it satisfies your ego that you can purchase your guru. You can't. If you can purchase your guru, he can be your servant, not your guru. This I want to make very clear to you, because this is not understood in the West, because they are used to the systems where people sell out or give money for everything.